Seniors, let me ask you something that might sound uncomfortable, but it could change the way you think about your mornings. What if the real reason your energy, your confidence, and even your performance in the most private parts of your life has been slipping is not because of age, but because of what you put on your plate when the sun first comes up? Imagine this. You shuffle into the kitchen, still groggy, and you reach for the same breakfast you have eaten for years. Maybe it is bacon sizzling in the pan, maybe a bowl of sugary cereal, maybe just plain white toast with butter, because it is quick. You eat it without thinking. It feels familiar. It feels American. It feels normal. But what if that very breakfast, the one you trust to start your day, has been quietly sabotaging the blood vessels that carry life to your heart, your brain, and yes, to the place where you want strength the most? I've seen this story so many times. Men in their 60s and 70s come into my office worried about why their mornings feel different, why their legs feel heavy climbing the stairs, why their confidence in the bedroom has faded. They often blame the calendar, telling me, "Doc, I guess I am just getting old." But when I dig deeper into their daily routines, I find the real culprit sitting right there on their breakfast table. The truth is, aging is not always the thief. It is the bacon, the toast, the sugary cereal, the foods that look innocent but work like slow poison in your arteries. These are what I call the silent killers of circulation. Now let me share something that may shock you. Within just 30 minutes of eating those foods, your blood vessels can stiffen. Your nitric oxide levels, the very molecule that helps your arteries open up, can plummet, and your circulation to the pelvic region can shrink. That means weaker energy, colder hands and feet, and more mornings where you wake up wondering what happened to your vitality. Day after day, year after year, that simple breakfast choice adds up until you start to believe the decline is permanent. But here is the secret most men never hear. It is not permanent. The damage is not locked in stone. And the first step to turning it around is as simple as changing what you put on your fork within the first hour of waking. Think about this. Your blood vessels are like highways. When you feed them processed meats, refined bread, or sugar-heavy cereals, it is like dumping traffic cones, potholes, and roadblocks onto those highways. Traffic slows, sometimes it stops, and the destinations that matter most, your muscles, your heart, your manhood, get less of the fuel they need. But when you feed those same vessels the right morning foods, ones rich in fiber, magnesium, antioxidants, and healthy fats, it is like smoothing the road, clearing the path, and opening all the lanes. Blood flows freely, oxygen surges where it needs to go, and suddenly your body remembers what it was built to do. Here is the part that too many men miss. Most circulation problems, the kind that rob you of energy and intimacy, do not begin in the bedroom. They begin at the breakfast table. That first meal sets the tone for your arteries for the entire day. If you start with foods that inflame and constrict, your circulation will stay tight and sluggish for hours. But if you start with foods that relax and nourish, you prime your system for strength, stamina, and confidence. The choice you make in that small window after waking can ripple through every part of your day and even through the rest of your life. I want you to think back to your own mornings. How many times have you reached for bacon because it is fast and satisfying, poured a bowl of cereal because it is convenient, or spread butter on white toast because that is what you grew up with? These choices may feel harmless, but the truth is they are quietly loading your body with salt, sugar, and empty starch that clog your vessels and strip away your vitality. No one told you this at the time. The commercials sold you comfort. The habits felt safe. But your circulation has been paying the price. And maybe you have already noticed the warning signs. You wake up without the firmness you once had. Your legs cramp more easily. You feel tired halfway through the day. These are not random signs of aging. They are your body's alarm bells whispering that your blood vessels are struggling. But here is where it gets hopeful. Because just as the wrong foods can shut your circulation down, the right foods can open it back up. And the difference can be felt in weeks, not years. So stay with me, Because in this video, we are going to expose the 3 worst American breakfasts that quietly strangle circulation in men over 60. And then I will show you the simple swaps that transform your mornings into a weapon for health, energy, and confidence. These fixes are not exotic, not expensive, and not complicated. They are probably sitting in your kitchen right now, waiting to be used in a smarter way. The best part? You do not need a prescription. You do not need a strict diet. You just need to know which traps to avoid and which foods to embrace. By the end of this journey, you will see that aging does not have to mean decline. You will discover how easy it is to reclaim the circulation that fuels your strength as a man. And it all starts not with what you do at night, not with what pill you take, but with what you eat when the morning begins. Now, before we dive into these foods, let me quickly introduce myself so you know who is guiding you. My name is Dr. Lily Anderson. For over 2 decades, I have dedicated my career to helping men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s restore their health, their circulation, and their confidence without having to depend on a bottle of pills. I trained in both nutrition and men's health, and my approach has always been simple. Give the body what it understands, real food and practical habits, and it will respond in powerful ways. Over the years, I have seen thousands of patients come into my clinic feeling frustrated, embarrassed, and convinced their best years were behind them. Many of them had tried medication, some had even gone through procedures, but the one thing almost none of them had ever been told is that their breakfast, the very meal they thought was harmless, was silently shaping their circulation every single day. When we changed that meal, their bodies began to change too. They felt energy returning, their mornings improved, and their relationships grew stronger. I am not here to judge or to lecture. I know how easy it is to fall into habits, especially when you have spent a lifetime trusting certain foods. I also know how confusing the health world can be, with so many quick fixes and conflicting advice. That is why, in this video, I want to strip away the noise and give you something clear, science-based, and doable. I want to hand you tools that you can use tomorrow morning without fear, without confusion, and without feeling overwhelmed. Here is my promise to you. In the next few minutes, I will show you the 3 worst American breakfast foods that are quietly draining your vitality after 60. And I will give you the easy swaps that have helped countless men just like you reclaim their circulation and confidence. These swaps are not complicated. They are not about perfection or about dieting. They are about choosing smarter, 1 plate at a time, so your body can do what it was built to do. Move blood freely, support energy, and keep you strong as a man. By the time you finish this video, you will know exactly what to avoid, what to add, and how to start tomorrow morning on a completely different track. You will hear the science in plain English, and you will see the real stories of men who have already walked this path and felt the difference. And most importantly, you will leave with hope. Hope that no matter your age, no matter how long you have struggled, you can still turn things around. So if you are ready to take that step, let's begin. Let's look closely at the first so-called classic American breakfast food, the one millions of men eat every single morning that may be cutting off circulation before your day even begins. Let's begin with the first food on our list, one that has been celebrated in diners, on commercials, and at the family table for generations: bacon and processed breakfast meats, bacon, sausage, ham. They look and smell comforting, and for many men they feel like the essence of a good American breakfast. But what most men don't realize is that each slice is loaded with sodium, nitrates, and saturated fats that work together to stiffen arteries and inflame the delicate lining of your blood vessels. It may taste satisfying in the moment, but inside your body, those strips of bacon act like sandpaper, scraping against the inner walls of your arteries. Over time, that constant irritation creates stiffness and blockages, making it harder for blood to move freely. For men over 60, this matters more than ever. your body is already producing less nitric oxide, the molecule that helps relax and widen blood vessels. Bacon adds insult to injury by raising blood pressure, thickening the blood, and reducing the ability of your arteries to respond when you need them to. That is why so many men who love their morning bacon also notice cold hands and feet, weaker morning energy, or that quiet loss of firmness in moments that matter most. But here is the encouraging part. You do not have to give up satisfaction to protect your circulation. A simple swap, one that many of my patients now swear by, is avocado on whole grain toast. Instead of salt, nitrates, and grease, you are giving your body monounsaturated fats that relax blood vessels, potassium that lowers blood pressure, and fiber that stabilizes blood sugar. The texture is creamy, the flavor can be boosted with a squeeze of lemon or a pinch of pepper, and the effect on your arteries is the opposite of bacon. Instead of narrowing and straining them, avocado helps keep them flexible and open. One of my patients, a 71-year-old veteran, told me he was skeptical at first. "Doc," he said, "I thought avocado was just for millennials." But after replacing bacon 3 mornings a week, his blood pressure dropped by 10 points, and he told me he finally stopped waking up with stiff, cramping legs. Now let's move to the second common trap, sugary cereals. These brightly colored boxes line every supermarket aisle, promising energy, fun, and quick convenience. But when you pour those flakes into your bowl, what you are really pouring is sugar, refined starch, and chemicals that give your body a rush, followed by a crash. Within minutes, your blood sugar spikes. Insulin surges to bring it down. And while that roller coaster is happening, your nitric oxide levels fall, your arteries tighten, and your circulation suffers. Many men don't connect the dots. They think their fatigue, their brain fog, or their lack of stamina by midday is just age. But in truth, it often starts with the cereal they ate at 7 in the morning. Over time, that cycle chips away at insulin sensitivity, raising the risk of diabetes and heart disease. For the pelvic region, it means sluggish blood flow and lower responsiveness when you need it most. So what is the swap? Steel-cut oatmeal topped with chia seeds and berries. Unlike sugary cereal, steel-cut oats release energy slowly. They are packed with a special fiber called beta-glucan that actively pulls LDL cholesterol, the harmful kind, out of your bloodstream. Chia seeds, when soaked overnight, form a gentle gel that hydrates your digestive system, delivers plant-based omega-3s, and supports nitric oxide production. And berries, especially blueberries, add anthocyanins that directly relax arteries and protect nitric oxide from being destroyed by oxidative stress. I had a patient, a 64-year-old accountant, who switched from his daily frosted flakes to a bowl of oatmeal with chia and blueberries. In just 8 weeks, his blood tests showed a 12% improvement in insulin sensitivity. And he told me something more important than the numbers. His confidence in the bedroom returned before the lab results did. That is the power of trading sugar for true nutrition. Now let's examine the third silent breakfast trap, white toast with butter. It looks harmless, maybe even wholesome if you grew up eating it every day before school or work. But white bread is nothing more than refined starch, stripped of fiber and nutrients. Once it hits your stomach, it turns into sugar almost instantly, spiking your blood glucose and inflaming your arteries. Add butter, and you are coating that sugar spike with saturated fat and cholesterol that further clog the system. For older men, this combination is especially harmful. It is like throwing gasoline on a smoldering fire of inflammation. The result? More stiffness in your arteries, higher risk of plaque buildup, and circulation that struggles to reach the places that need it most. The good news is that the fix is simple. Replace white toast with whole grain bread and swap the butter for a thin layer of natural nut butter, such as almond or peanut butter. Whole grains deliver fiber, magnesium, and B vitamins that support vascular function. Nut butters add healthy fats, protein, and polyphenols that calm inflammation. Together, they provide steady energy and a circulation-friendly foundation for your morning. Just 2 slices of whole grain toast with almond butter can set your blood vessels on a different path for the day. A 70-year-old retired teacher I worked with made this change after decades of eating white toast every morning. He told me at first it felt small, almost too simple to matter. But within 3 weeks, he noticed something remarkable. He could walk the golf course without feeling his legs drag, and he started waking up with more energy than he had in years. He laughed and said, "Doc, who knew bread could make such a difference?" So here we have it. 3 classic American breakfasts, bacon, sugary cereal, and white toast with butter that quietly damage circulation, and 3 easy swaps, avocado toast, oatmeal with chia and berries, and whole grain with nut butter that restore it. These are not exotic superfoods or expensive powders. They are simple, accessible, and effective tools that work with your body instead of against it. Remember this. Breakfast is not just a meal. For men over 60, it is a turning point. It can either set you up for a day of sluggish circulation and fading confidence, or it can prime your arteries for strength, stamina, and vitality. The choice is yours, and it is made with every bite you take in that first hour after waking. Let me share the story of John, a man whose journey mirrors the lives of so many seniors I've met. John is 67 years old, a retired truck driver from Ohio. For more than 40 years, his mornings looked almost the same. He would wake up early, pour himself a cup of black coffee, fry up 2 strips of bacon with a piece of white toast, and sometimes add a bowl of cereal if he was still hungry. It was quick, familiar, and comforting. He had eaten this way since his 20s, and he never thought twice about it. When John first came to see me, he did not complain about breakfast. He complained about his energy. He told me that his legs felt heavy when climbing the stairs. His hands were often cold, and most mornings he woke up without the same vitality he once had. He said in a low voice, "Doc, I thought maybe it's just age, but I don't feel like myself anymore. Even my wife notices I don't have the same drive." He looked down, embarrassed. It was not easy for him to admit. I asked John to walk me through his daily routine, especially his mornings. When he described his breakfast, it was like hearing the script I have heard from hundreds of men before. Bacon, toast, coffee, the standard American start to the day. I explained to John that while this routine had carried him for decades, it was now quietly working against him. His arteries were less flexible than they used to be, his natural nitric oxide levels were lower, and the salt, sugar, and fat from his breakfast were making matters worse. At first, John resisted. "Doc," he said, "I've eaten this way my whole life. You're telling me a piece of bacon is the reason I feel this way?" I didn't argue. I simply asked him to try a small experiment. For the next 4 weeks, I asked him to swap his bacon for half an avocado on whole grain toast, to replace his white bread with a slice of seeded whole grain, and to trade his cereal for a bowl of oatmeal with berries and chia seeds. I told him he didn't have to give up coffee, but to add a glass of water before it and a handful of blueberries on the side. The first week was the hardest. John admitted he missed the smell of bacon, and the taste of cereal was easier than waiting for oats to cook. But something surprised him. Within 10 days, he noticed his energy was steadier through the morning. He didn't feel that crash before lunch. His hands felt warmer. By the second week, his wife noticed he was waking up earlier, walking with more ease, and even joking with her the way he used to. By the end of 4 weeks, John returned to my office with a smile I hadn't seen before. He told me, "Doc, I didn't believe you at first, but I can walk up the stairs without stopping. I can play with my grandkids without feeling drained. And in the mornings, well, let's just say my wife is happier too." His blood pressure had dropped, his cholesterol numbers were improving, and his confidence had clearly risen. The transformation didn't come from a pill. It didn't come from a procedure. It came from the plate on his breakfast table. By removing the foods that clogged and constricted his arteries and replacing them with ones that opened and nourished them, John's body began to respond. His story is not unique. It is what happens when men finally give their bodies the tools they've been missing. What struck me most was not just John's numbers or his improved stamina. It was his hope. He said, "I thought 67 meant slowing down. But now I see I still have more to give, more to live." That is the power of one simple change in the morning. It is not about perfection. It is not about giving up everything you enjoy. It is about choosing to feed your body in a way that lets it fight for you instead of against you. And if John can do it after 40 years of bacon and toast, so can you. So what exactly happened inside John's body when he traded bacon, white toast, and cereal for avocado, oats, and berries? To understand this, we need to look at circulation not as a mystery, but as a system you can picture in your mind. Imagine your arteries as long, flexible garden hoses running through your body. When you were 20, those hoses were new. They bent easily. Water flowed through without resistance. And even when you turned up the pressure, they responded smoothly. But as the years pass, just like garden hoses left out in the sun, your arteries can become stiff, narrow, and less responsive. This stiffness makes it harder for blood to move freely, and it means that the places furthest from your heart, your legs, your hands, and yes, your manhood, don't get the same steady supply of oxygen-rich blood they once did. Now, what role does breakfast play in this? Certain foods accelerate that stiffening. Processed meats like bacon contain nitrates and sodium that raise blood pressure and inflame the inner lining of your vessels, called the endothelium. Think of the endothelium as the smooth coating inside the hose. When it is healthy, blood flows like water over polished glass. When it is damaged, the surface becomes rough, sticky, and more likely to collect debris. Over time, that debris forms plaque, narrowing the vessel further. Sugary cereals and white bread create another problem: glucose spikes. When you flood your body with quick sugars first thing in the morning, your blood sugar rises sharply. Insulin rushes in to control it, but that surge creates oxidative stress, tiny sparks of damage that attack your blood vessels. The nitric oxide your body produces, which is the chemical that tells arteries to open wide, gets destroyed in the process. Without nitric oxide, your hoses lose their flexibility, and blood can't rush where it needs to. That is why men who eat these foods daily often feel sluggish, cold, and less responsive in intimate moments. Now compare that to what happens with the right swaps. Avocado delivers monounsaturated fats which act like oil on the hinges of a rusty door. They keep the arterial walls supple and reduce inflammation. Potassium in avocado pulls excess sodium out of the body, lowering blood pressure. Oats contain beta-glucan, a soluble fiber that acts like a sponge inside your bloodstream, soaking up LDL cholesterol before it sticks to your arteries. Chia seeds, when hydrated, provide alpha-linolenic acid, a plant omega-3 that calms inflammation and supports nitric oxide production. And berries supply anthocyanins, natural pigments that shield your nitric oxide from being destroyed. They act like an umbrella, protecting that fragile molecule so it can keep doing its job of opening vessels. Let's go back to the hose analogy. Bacon, white toast, and sugar cereals are like pouring sand and grease into the hose. The flow slows down, the walls crack, and the damage builds. Avocado, oats, chia, and berries are like flushing the hose with clean water and adding a protective lining. They restore smoothness, flexibility, and strength. The result? When the heart pumps, blood reaches every corner, including the pelvic region where performance depends on steady, reliable circulation. Another important concept here is timing. In the morning, your nitric oxide levels are naturally at their lowest. After a night's sleep, your body wakes up in a state of vulnerability. If the first thing you feed it is processed meat or sugar, you slam the door on circulation for the rest of the day. But if you give it foods that promote nitric oxide and fight inflammation, you open the door wide. That is why John felt the difference so quickly. He wasn't just eating better, he was eating smarter, at the exact time his body needed support the most. Think of it this way. Your arteries have conversations with your food. When you eat bacon, the message is tighten, stiffen, protect against damage. When you eat avocado, oats, and berries, the message is relax, open up, let blood flow. Those daily conversations add up. Over weeks and months, they decide whether your arteries act like young, flexible hoses or old, brittle ones. The science is clear. Clinical studies have shown that replacing processed meats with plant-based fats lowers blood pressure within weeks. Eating oats daily can reduce LDL cholesterol by up to 10% in a month. Anthocyanins from berries improve flow-mediated dilation, a fancy term for how well your arteries expand by measurable percentages. These are not minor shifts. In vascular science, even a 1% improvement in dilation can significantly reduce the risk of heart attack, stroke, and erectile dysfunction. Here is what I want you to remember. Circulation is not just about the heart pumping. It is about the highways being clear, the doors opening, and the signals working. Every bite of breakfast either helps or hurts that process. And at your age, when natural nitric oxide is declining, the margin of error is smaller. That is why breakfast is not just a meal. It is medicine or it is poison, depending on what you choose. So when John swapped his foods, he wasn't just eating differently. He was rebuilding the lining of his arteries, fueling nitric oxide, stripping away cholesterol, and calming the inflammation that had been choking his circulation for decades. His improved energy, his warmer hands, and his regained confidence weren't random. They were the visible proof of invisible repairs happening inside his body. And that is the same repair your body can begin, no matter your age, if you give it the chance. Now here is where I want to pause and speak directly to you. If you are watching this, maybe you have already felt some of the same frustrations John did. Maybe you have woken up with less energy, felt your legs grow heavy, or noticed changes in your confidence. It is easy in those moments to think, it's too late. My best years are behind me. But I want you to know it is never too late. Your body is more resilient than you realize, and it is always listening to the choices you make, especially in the morning. One of the biggest mistakes men make after 60 is believing that change requires something drastic, expensive supplements, strict diets, or impossible routines. The truth is much gentler. Your body doesn't need perfection. It just needs small, consistent wins. A single swap at breakfast, a spoonful of oats instead of cereal, a slice of whole grain with avocado instead of bacon, can begin to shift your circulation. And when you repeat that choice day after day, the results build. Think of it like planting a seed. The first day you place it in the soil, nothing seems to happen. But with water, sunlight, and time, that seed grows into something strong. Every morning you choose a circulation-friendly food. You are planting seeds inside your arteries. At first, you may not notice much, but within weeks your hands feel warmer, your steps feel lighter, and your mornings feel alive again. And just like John, you will look back and realize those small seeds have grown into a garden of strength. I have seen this pattern in so many men. A 65-year-old neighbor of mine used to skip breakfast entirely, running on coffee alone. He believed eating in the morning was pointless. But after years of fatigue and restless nights, he finally decided to try something small. He started with just half a cup of Greek yogurt and a handful of berries. That was it. Within 3 weeks, his energy smoothed out. He was sleeping deeper, and his afternoon crashes disappeared. He told me, "Doc, I didn't overhaul my life. I just added one thing, but it gave me hope." That is the message I want you to take with you. Don't overwhelm yourself with everything at once. Don't aim for perfect. Aim for progress. Choose one swap tomorrow morning and let your body show you what it can do. If it feels good, add another. Over time, those small choices will build momentum. And that momentum is what brings real transformation. Remember, you are not fighting against age. You are working with your body to give it what it needs. Age does not erase your ability to improve. It simply makes the right choices more important. Every day you wake up, you have the power to set your body on a path of decline or renewal. That power rests in your hands, and it begins with your fork. So start where you are. If you love toast, make it whole grain and add a little nut butter. If you enjoy cereal, replace it with oats and berries. If you crave something savory, try avocado instead of bacon. These are not punishments. They are gifts. Gifts you give to your heart, your vessels, your energy, and your confidence. And if you are thinking, what if it's too late for me? Let me answer with the truth I've seen again and again. Men in their 70s and even 80s have made these changes and felt the difference. I've watched them regain stamina, restore intimacy, and rediscover joy they thought was gone forever. You are not too late. You are right on time. If this message has spoken to you, if even a part of you felt seen or understood as you listened, then I want you to take one more step, not just for me, but for yourself and for the community of men walking this same road. Share your voice. Let others know they are not alone. Drop a 1 in the comments if you are willing to try one small change tomorrow morning. Drop a 0 if something is still unclear and you need more guidance. I read every single response, and your words may be the spark that helps another man take his first step. If this video gave you hope, pass it forward. Share it with a friend, a brother, or even a son. You never know who is quietly struggling, who wakes up each morning wondering if decline is their only option. By sharing, you remind them that renewal is still possible, that age is not the end of vitality, and that real change can begin with something as simple as breakfast. And if you want more guidance, more science explained in plain language, and more stories that prove you are not too old to thrive, make sure to subscribe. Each week, we bring you new strategies, foods, habits, and tools to strengthen your circulation, rebuild your confidence, and help you feel alive again. No hype, no judgment, just practical answers rooted in years of medical practice and science. Before we close, let me leave you with this thought. Aging does not erase your strength. It only asks you to defend it more intentionally. Every morning, you have a choice. You can feed the decline, or you can feed your vitality. You can surrender, or you can fight. And the fight is not dramatic or overwhelming. It is quiet. It is simple. It is the choice to pick up one food instead of another. You are still writing your story. What happens in the next chapter depends on the actions you take today. So tomorrow morning, when you sit down at your breakfast table, remember that you hold the pen. Choose the foods that give your body the chance to open up, to flow freely, and to support you where it matters most. Thank you for trusting me with your health today. Take action. Take care of yourself. And I will see you in the next video where we will uncover another hidden morning habit that quietly changes a man's life after 60. Until then, keep fighting, keep choosing, and keep believing that your best days are not behind you. They are still ahead.